Oh, welcome back to Breakfast with Bob. We're at the finish line, ITU World Triathlon Championships. Our guest, coach to the stars, Mr. Cliff English. Cliff, you've got a number of athletes racing here. Ashley Gentle is racing at 1 o'clock today. When you find out race is supposed to be at 5, it moves up to 1. How does your elite athlete handle something like that?
She's pretty experienced.
This guy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, she's very experienced.
Yeah, so...
We spoke about the possibility last evening as well.
Okay.
So we kind of knew when we were watching the junior race that, obviously things were delayed with the men's race.
Right.
And obviously the forecast is showing storms again for today. So, you get an idea. You have to start thinking about the plans. And we had her high performance director, Bernard, of the Australian program.
Yeah.
He had a little talk with everyone saying, hey, here's some of the contingency plans that they're thinking about. Just be prepared. So we knew that we'd get a call up. Maybe it'd be a little early and just to be on the ready. And
right. No problem. Everybody
5
has
o'clock,
to deal with
4
it.
o'clock, to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
Whatever.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about Ashley. I don't know a heck of a lot about her background. What Olympic hopeful?
Yo, absolutely. Ashley Gentle, young Australian, just 24 years old.
Yeah.
She was actually the winner this year at Alcatraz.
Ah,
so we were able to sneak that in when she came over from Australia.
Yeah.
And we're heading over to have her go race and train in Europe for a while.
Right.
Just leading into the Rio ITU race.
Okay.
So it worked out really nice to be able to, get a classic race in. I've been wanting to get her to get some exposure in the U.S. with a non-draft.
Right.
She's very strong non-draft. The last 2 years, she's won the Noosa Triathlon back home in Australia, the Nepean. She won Beijing last year as well. So she's definitely a real force to be reckoned with in the non-drafting as well. But Alcatraz was a nice win for her.
So in terms of where she stand right now, in terms of potentially getting to Rio?
She's, I believe, second-ranked Australian. I think she's ranked, depending on the rankings, we have the WTS and then we have the overall, but she's somewhere in the top 10 to top 12 in the world. I mean, basically, she's got a very good chance. Yeah.
And what is their procedure? I know Australia has always been, that's the country that left McKeely off the 2004 team after she won the test race the year before. What is it, a selection? Is it a qualifying, like an Olympic trials?
It's a combination of it all. It's probably going to come down to the last race next year, which will be the Gold Coast, early April. Yeah. And that'll be the final selection. And that'll give everyone plenty of time. But it's probably going to come down to that.
It also sounds like that might be the race that the U.S. is going to use.
Yes, absolutely.
For their selection as well.
If it doesn't go down tomorrow.
Right.
The top 8 for the men,
So speaking of top 8, there's a guy we call Mr. Clutch named Hunter Kemper who's done 4 Olympics already, 39 years old, father of 4, the sentimental favorite to go make his 5th Olympic team. And I was there in San Diego a couple years ago. 8 months, no racing, broken elbow, IV drip, gets off the bike, his first race in 8 months. And you're not going against chopped liver, everybody's here trying to make the Olympic team. Yeah. Everybody. Got to finish top 9, make the Olympic team for the U.S. This guy comes off the bike 30-something.
Yeah.
And he has to finish top 9 to make the team, and he goes and runs his way up to 5th place. You've been coaching this guy a long time. Were you even surprised with that?
Really good question. We knew what he could do.
Yeah.
I think the big thing with the ITU, and a lot of times everyone gets caught up, as you see, coming off the bike together, all the kids.
Right.
Well, I call them kids. Anyone who's a kid, but they go crazy. Obviously, at one point, within a kilometer, then a mile, then 2 kilometers, you start seeing people drop off the pace, but they start incredibly rapid.
Right.
This race in particular, I kind of feel was one, it's a coaching moment that I'm very proud of, because obviously we had to deal with Hunter coming back from that Myrtle Beach crash, and he had it infected at one point again and had to have the elbow opened up early January.
Numerous times.
Yeah, so we didn't even have him in the pool, I think, till probably the end of February. The timeline was crazy, but if there's one guy that can do it, it's him. And that's what I just kept telling him. We're not going to have an ideal lead up. We're not going to be able to have a race.
We're going to have no races.
We're going to, it's in you. You know what to do. And I remember, obviously, even in March, it was some pretty dark times where he doubted, that he'd be able to get to that level. But having known him and not being his coach, I've seen in 2-3 weeks the kind of jumps that he can make in training. And I was like, we just got to keep the head down, be consistent. Don't try to make up for lost ground and lose our cool. Let's just be, here we go, steady Eddie, just keep adding. And then, we started to see that was pretty good. And the strategy I also brought on was, Hunter loves if he's confident in his run, then he's confident overall. That's the one thing with Hunter
That's
as
his
well.
barometer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we came up with a series of time trials. So we're doing 5Ks and 10Ks, and just getting. He's a very good what we call a cutback runner. So he's very good at negative splitting, very good at building, and which is different than the ITU style. We're seeing everyone go out so fast and then usually kind of fade. Yeah, to a certain degree, they all have these positive splits. If you really take a look at the splits in the races, so. With Hunter, we looked at it and I said, look, this is our strategy. We know that you're probably the best cutback build runner there is. We need to find a strategy that you feel comfortable having 30 people in front of you coming off the bike, but you're going to run your own run. So we actually, USAT helped us out and we wheeled out the first quarter mile. So the cool thing was, you saw the blue carpet was where they came off. You can actually see it from a vantage point where I would be at the quarter mile. So as soon as I saw him, as soon as I saw Johnny Brownlee, took the split, and I waited for them to come around. So Brownlee was in the low 60s, like 62, 63. Hunter, we were talking about like 72, to start, which is still fast, but at the same time, he went through in 68. When I told him that, he said he just felt this calm. He's like, oh, all these guys went out too hard.
Yeah, they're not running 4-minute miles.
but it was just that little, as simple as that sounds, it was like this little reinforcement. And every time he went through, he was like, moved up a little more. And if you look back at the splits in that race, he actually ran the last 3.3K, the last loop faster than anyone in the race.
Wow.
And so that's what I'm hoping for, a little bit of magic tomorrow with you.
So when you saw him coming across that line, and you obviously were intimately involved with everything he went through.
Oh, yeah.
Just to get to the starting line. And I know to a certain degree, he was just so joyful to be at the starting line.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't like, oh my God. It's like, oh, I'm so happy to be racing. It made him appreciate it more. What were your thoughts? Him knowing he'd lined up, he firmed up an Olympic spot.
Oh, it was really emotional. It's funny because I've been at so many races and so many big races and seen so many wins, but it was hard not to get caught up in that. I felt, he's a good friend and someone I've been with a long time and a tremendous person. So it was just, really, I cried.
So did I. Well, the other thing is, here we are in Chicago, home turf. It's not many times we have ITU races here in the States. This is the World Championship. Top 8, not 9, but top 8. I'd make it a little harder. It was too easy for Hunter last time. If he finishes top 8, he gets a spot in his 5th Olympic team. And I'm sure the odds are slim and none. The people think that there's no way because Americans haven't, top Americans are 15th, 16th, 17th.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about Hunter tomorrow?
Never count them out.
I never count the guy out. When I saw what he did then, you're thinking Ted Williams last time at bat. That's the type of thing where, Michael Jordan, his last game or last championship.
He lives for that.
He's a big shot guy.
And, when you look at it, every year we've gone to the Olympics as a country. He's always been a top performer. He's great on the big stage, and that's what he does best. And he likes that. Obviously he's probably a little nervous, but he's been there. And, he's just got to look, as they say, a little Phil Liggett quote, but he's got to dig deep into that toolbox.
The reservoir of courage.
Exactly.
Where do you have something lined up like you did last time in San Diego to give him some sort of split where he'll have a sense of, I'm calm?
Yeah, we haven't done that for this one, but we're definitely just going to look at having him have that calm and looking to build up. Obviously, you can't let the elastic go too far with these guys, but you have to keep yourself in it, and he definitely needs to start moving up, second lap, third lap. I really think it's all going to come down to that fourth lap as well. 7.5K is still pretty early in the race, and you can go from sitting in a group of guys 11th through 18th to getting into that top 8. And that's what it's going to be a nail biter, but it's going to be one of those things that I'm hoping as he comes around the curve and to the finish line, he could go up a few spots. That's what it's going to look like. It's going to be one of those races.
It's going to be definitely one of those races. So if he doesn't make it here, right, and we're sitting with no Americans, do we have 2 spots, 3 spots? Do we know what we have for next year?
I'm pretty sure we have 3.
Okay.
We have a lot of up-and-coming kids.
Yes, we do.
The women program is incredible.
Right.
Huge hats off to the college program that USAT has been doing. But, we have quite a few young men as well. So I believe easily 3 or 4 in the top 30 rank right now, or 35, which is really good.
It is really good. So they'll have that race in Australia probably next spring.
Yeah.
And they won't do all 3 spots. There'll be some selection involved depending on who it is. Could be a domestique.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Exactly. Yeah. There's.
How do you balance training a hunter and then training your Ironman folks? Because totally different game.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great question. I've been doing that probably for the last 15 plus years. I like, because no program for me and no athlete's the same. So it helps keep me creative.
Right.
I mean, obviously when I'm thinking about Hunter, when I'm thinking about Ash, I'm also even thinking with Hunter, we've decreased his volume over the years. I mean, obviously,
right.
Probably doesn't
Older,
like me.
30,
Yeah, exactly. You said
old.
it, not I.
You got to adapt.
You got to adapt, exactly. And the same thing with Ash. Ash was very young, 22 when I started working with her. She had a lot of inconsistencies for a while with injury. One of my primary goals was to just get consistent. To me, it's really the sum of every day, the sum of every session. So you don't have to. Sometimes some people look to make these huge gains, and I think you have to be patient with that. So with her, I just really, at this point, knocking wood, we're almost 2 years, and she hasn't missed a beat. It's just consistent, and to a certain degree, I mean, I know it's been used before as well as a phrase, but it is one of those successes inevitable, with when you're
not coming back from injury.
Yeah, and you have that kind of talent. If you
training,
put the work in, the athlete's going to do well. Right. You just got to unleash them and let them do what they can do. So back to your question. Yeah, I mean, it's just really looking at each athlete, and it just. Right. It comes down to also just the demands of each sport, and that's what's really fun about it. I mean, ITU is just so different than long course, and so you just have to, put your ITU hat on and think about the demands and needs of that. And at the same time, too, that comparison between those two athletes. I mean, with Ashley, I'm looking at this athlete that's been in it for a while. I mean, she was with the Australian program, 2010 Junior World Champ in Budapest. Yes. So this girl's a stud. Very young, and that's the thing, you're kind of looking at her curve going up. It's like that progression. So, you definitely don't want to be training her 35 hours a week and just loading on. So you have to be very mindful of where your athlete is at in their long-term plan as well. So those are the things that I'm always thinking about when, where I'm at in the season with an athlete, and where, obviously I know, we're finishing off a few races for her this year. And then next year, obviously, is the big race, big year, So you're definitely very mindful of that. We definitely have a few more tricks up her sleeves, a few more things we can push her with, and everything leads up to that point. Now she's ready to have a little bit more of a run, program over the winter and all those kind of things.
Cliff, good luck with both Ashley and with Hunter.
Yeah. Oh, and I got one other guy in the race, Leo Chacon.
I don't know that.
Yeah,
who's Leo?
Leo's from Costa Rica.
Oh, and he's racing tomorrow.
Yeah, he is racing tomorrow. So he actually was an Olympian in 2012.
Okay.
He unfortunately was, him and Simon were the guys that got their handlebars caught in the rail,
they both
and they went
down
together in London. Yeah. But he continued on and really soldiered on and finished. So I started working with him about a year and a half ago. Really nice kid. He had a good race in Edmonton. He had a 16th place there. So
that's good.
We're looking for somewhere in there again. So.
That would be awesome. Yeah. Congrats, Cliff, on everything you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Cliff English has been our guest. Again, this is Breakfast with Bob, ITU World Championship Edition. Hold on, everyone. We will be right back.